Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Prostrations to Ramana, shining as the self in all beings. We begin today's satsang with a prayer, which will be followed by the chanting of Muktaka trayam. Dakshinamurti Sarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Ramanacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Vande Guru Paramparam Vande Guru Paramparam Shuklam Baradharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vighnopashantaye Angikam Bhuvanam Yasya Vachikam Sarva Vangmayam Aharyam Chandrataradi Tam Namah Satvikam Shivam. Namo Ramana. Ekamaksharam Hridi Nirantaram Bhasate Swayam Likhyate Katham Hridaya Kuhara Madhye Kevalam Brahma Matram Yahamahamiti Sakshat Atmarupena Bhati Hridi Vishamanasa Swam Chinvata Majjatava Pavana Chalana Rodhat Atmanishto Bhavatvam Deham Mrinmaya Vajjadatmakam Aham Buddhirna tasyastyato Naham tattata bhavashukti samaye Siddhatma sadbhavataha Koham bhavayutah kuto varadhiya Drishtvatmanishtatmana Soham Spurtitaya Arunachala Shivaha Poorno Vibhati Swayam Soham Spurtitaya Arunachala Shivaha Poorno Vibhati Swayam. Namo Ramana. We will now have the chanting of Upadesa Saram by Uma and Ashwini.
Namo Ramana. Idamaham pada bhikkyamanvaham ahamilinake pelaya sattaya vigrahendriya pranaditama नाहमेकसत् तज्जडं यसत् सत्त्वभासिका चित्क्ववेतरा सत्तया हि चेत् चित्तया ह्यहम् ईशजीवयोर्वेषधीभिदा सत्स्वभावतो वस्तु केवलम् वेषहानत स्वात्मदर्शनम् ईशदर्शनं स्वात्मरूपत आत्मसंस्थिति स्वात्मदर्शनम् आत्मनिर्द्वयादात्मनिष्ठता ज्ञानवर्जिता अज्ञानहीन चेत् ज्ञानमस्ति किं नातुमन्तरम् किं स्वरूपम् इत्यात्मदर्शने अव्यया भवा पूर्णचित्सुखम् बन्धमुक्त्यतीतं परं सुखम् विन्दति ह जीवस्तु दैविक अहमपेतकं निजविभानकं महदिदं तपो रमणवागियम् नमो
Namo Ramana. We will now have the chanting, the presentations of Ramananjali Sangeetam by Srimati V. Radha, accompanied by Vallabh. This will be followed by the song by Pratibha Sundaresh, Savitri Krishnan and Jaisriram Krishnan, and Dr. Vaishnavi Poorna.
Namo Ramana to all. Now being Margadi Masam, Dhanur Masam, we opted to take Tiruvembavai, written by Sri Muruganatha Swami. We have chosen a Tiruvembavai in Ragam Latangi Settu Aditalam. Yeri punam ti patte yeriyum kanalla Peri kamal sandanamum vengayum vemal Yeri punam ti patte yeriyum kanalla Peri kamal sandanamum vengayum vemal Sri Venkatesh தேவானின் தேவல் வெறிவழிக்கே கோடாது இன்றொழுகும் சீரார் ஸ்ரீ வெங்கடரமண தேவானின் தேவல் வெறிவழிக்கே கோடாது இன்றொழுகும் சீரார் அறிஞர்தம் கூட்டுறவை ஆர்வமோடு பேணி குறியறிந்த நாத்தம் குற்றேவல் செய்ய அறிஞர்தம் கூட்டுறவை ஆர்வமோடு பேணி குறியறிந்த நாத்தம் குற்றேவல் செய்ய உறுதியாம் இந்த வாரம் ஒன்று நீ ஈந்தார் உறுதியாம் இந்த வாரம் ஒன்று நீ ஈந்தார் மறுபிறவி கஞ்சேமியாம் மற்றேலோரம் பாவாய் ரிரிசசாசனி சரிரிசனி நிதனி சசனி ததனி நிதபாமகரி கம கப மத நிதபமகம பதனி தசனி ரிசனி தபதனி சகரி காரி சனி நிரிசரி சனி தசனி சானி தபபனி தனி தபமகம Gama ma gama papa ma pada da pada ni ni da ni sari ga ni sa ni da pa ma pada ni guru diya vindavaram ஒன்று நீ ஈனால் மறுபிறவி கஞ்சேமியாம் மற்றேலோர் நமோ நமः.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. It's very auspicious to sing and contemplate on the Tiruvambavais written by Sri Sadhu Om and Muruganatha Swami on Bhagwan Ramana. Through these Tiruvambavais, Muruganatha Swami and Sri Sadhu Om Swami They are trying to wake us up from the stupor of ignorance that we are stuck in and reminding us of the ever presence of Bhagavan Ramana as the shining as the self in all of us. This is the Empave song by Sri Sadhuam Swami, and the music is by Dr. Rajkumar Bharati. கோல பரம்பொருளை கூடேலோர் எம்பாவாய். கோல பரம்பொருளை கூடேலோர் எம்பாவாய். ஸ்ரீரமண கோல பரம்பொருளை கூடேலோர் எம்பாவாய். கூடேலோர் எம்பாவாய். கூடேலோர் எம்பாவாய். கூடேலோர் எம்பாவாய். கூடேலோர் எம்பாவாய். கோல பரம்பொருளை கூடேலோர் எம்பாவாய். ஞாலம் உயர்வென்றே நயவஞ்ச சிந்தை தரும் மாலெனும் அஞ்ஞான மடுஷேற்றின் வாயெழுந்தே. ஞாலம் உயர்வென்றே நயவஞ்ச சிந்தை தரும் மாலெனும் அஞ்ஞான மடுஷேற்றின் வாயெழுந்தி. காலமெல்லாம் வீணை கழிய கருக்கடலின் ஆலவினை நஞ்சம் அருந்தி. காலமெல்லாம் வீணே கழிய கருக்கடலின் ஆலவினை நஞ்சம் அருந்தி. பிறப்பா தூல மயக்க சுடுநரகில் வாழ்வேமை. தூல மயக்க சுடுநரகில் வாழ்வேமை. ஷீலத் தெளிவாம் சிவஞான தீம்புனலாம். ஷீலத் தெளிவாம் சிவஞான தீம்புனலாம். ஏல கழுவி எடுத்தருளும். ஏல கழுவி எடுத்தருளும் ஸ்ரீரமண கோல பரம்பொருளை கூடேலோ எம்பாவாய். கூடேலோ எம்பாவாய். கூடேலோ எம்பாவாய். கோல பரம்பொருளை கூடேலோ எம்பாவாய். தொல்லாய பூம்பதமே சூடேலோர் எம்பாவாய். தொல்லாய பூம்பதமே சூடேலோர் எம்பாவாய். ரமணபிரான் தொல்லாய பூம்பதமே சூடேலோர் எம்பாவாய். சூடேலோர் எம்பாவாய். சூடேலோர் எம்பாவாய். சூடேலோர் எம்பாவாய். சூடேலோர் எம்பாவாய். தொல்லாய பூம்பதமே சூடேலோர் எம்பாவாய். எல்லாமாய் இன்மை இல்லாத பேருண்மையுமாய் நல்லார் சனகாதினால்வர்க்கு ஞான நிலை. எல்லாமாய் இன்மை இல்லாத பேருண்மையுமாய் நல்லார் சனகாதினால்வர்க்கு ஞான நிலை. சொல்லாமற் சொன்ன சுயம்புவாய் சோணமலை புல்லா நின்றே வான் புவனமெல்லாம் வாழ்வுடைய. சொல்லாமற் சொன்ன சுயம்புவாய் சோணமலை புல்லா நின்றே வான் புவனமெல்லாம் வாழ்வுடைய. பல்லாரும் ஏத்தி பணிய பணிவுடைமை. பல்லாரும் ஏத்தி பணிய படிவுடைமை. கல்லாரும் நூலறிவே கற்றாரும் காணாத. கல்லாரும் நூலறிவே கற்றாரும் காணாத. வல்லாய ஞானம் வழங்கும். வல்லாய ஞானம் வழங்கும் ரமணபிரான் தொல்லாய பூம்பதமே சூடேலோர் எம்பாவாய். ரமணபிரான் தொல்லாய பூம்பதமே சூடேலோர் எம்பாவாய். சூடேலோர் எம்பாவாய். சூடேலோர் எம்பாவாய். சொல்லா தொல்லாய பூம்பதமே சூடேலோ எம்பாவா.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Today is Vaikuntha Ekadashi. Today is Saturday. Today is also the Gita Jayanti, the day on which Bhagavan, the Lord himself bestowed the Gita Upadesha to his foremost Sishya Arjuna. Many of us as devotees of Bhagavan would know that Bhagavan, at the request of one of his early devotees, G.B. Subbaramaya, selected 42 verses from the 700 plus verses of the Bhagavad Gita to make a concise version, or Sri Bhagavad Gita Sara as it is called. Bhagavan selected these 42 verses and rearranged them in a particular order. Not content with the concise version, when another devotee requests Bhagavan to choose one verse which captures the quintessence of the Gita, he chooses the 20th verse from the 10th chapter of the Gita, which the verse starts with Ahamatma Gudakesha. Bhagavan has translated these 42 verses into Tamil as well as Malayalam for the benefit of his devotees, like he had done for the works of Sri Adi Shankara, like Dakshinamurti Stotram, Astamalaka Stotram, Atma Bodham, etc. In fact, in the introductory verses of Atma Bodha, Bhagavan says, "Who but Shankara, the enlightener of the self, shining as the inmost self in him, this day renders it in Tamil." Likewise, the composer of the introductory verses to the Gita Sara says that indeed it is a blessing that Krishna, who expounded the Gita, has today, in the form of Ramana, given its quintessence. On this auspicious occasion, we will quickly chant all the 42 verses of the Gita Sara of the song Celestial.
अहो भाग्यं पुरा गीतां यो वदत् श्रीपतिः स्वयम् अद्य श्रीरमणो भूत्वा गीतासारं ददौ सनः पार्थसारथिरूपेण श्रावयित्वा शुभाङ्गिरम् पार्थस्याति हरो देवः कृपामूर्तिः स पातु नः श्रीगीतासारः संजय उवाच तं तथा कृपयाविष्टम् अश्रुपूर्णाकुलेक्षणम् विषीदन्तमिदं वाक्यम् उवाच मधुसूदनः श्रीभगवानुवाच इदं शरीरं कौन्तेय क्षेत्रमित्यभिधीयते एतद्यो वेति तं प्राहुः क्षेत्रज्ञ इति तद्विदः क्षेत्रज्ञं चापि मां विद्धि सर्वक्षेत्रेषु भारत क्षेत्रज्ञयो ज्ञानं यत्तज्ज्ञानं मम अहमात्मा गुडाकेश सर्वभूताशयस्थितः अहमादिश्च मध्यं च भूतानामन्त एव च जातस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्युर्ध्रुवं जन्म मृतस्य च तस्मादपरिहार्येते न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन्नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे अच्छेद्योऽयमदाह्योऽयमच्चेद्यो शोष्य एव च नित्यसर्वगतस्थाणुरचलोऽयं सनातनः अविनाशि तु तद्विद्धि येन सर्वमिदं ततं विनाशमव्ययस्यास्य न कश्चित् कर्तुमर्हति नासतो विद्यते भावो न भावो विद्यते सतः उभयोरपि दृष्टोऽन्तस्त्वनयोस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः यथा सर्वगतं सौक्ष्म्यादाकाशं नोपलिप्यते सर्वत्रावस्थितो देहे तथात्मानोपलिप्यते न तद्भासयते सूर्यो न शशाङ्को न पावकः यद्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम अव्यक्तोऽक्षर इत्युक्तस्तमाहुः परमां गतिम् यं प्राप्य न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम निर्माणमोहाजितसङ्गदोषा अध्यात्मनित्या विनिवृत्तकामाः द्वन्द्वैर्विमुक्ता सुखदुःखसंज्ञैर्गच्छन्त्यमूढ पदमव्ययं तत् यशास्त्रविधिमुत्सृज्य वर्तते कामकारतः न स सिद्धिमवाप्नोति न सुखं न परां गतिं समं सर्वेषु भूतेषु तिष्ठन्तं परमेश्वरं विनश्यत्स्व विनश्यन्तं यः पश्यति स पश्यति भक्त्या त्वनन्यया शक्य अहमेवं विदोऽर्जुन ज्ञातुं द्रष्टुं च तत्त्वेन प्रवेष्टुं च परन्तप सत्त्वानुरूपा सर्वस्य श्रद्धा भवति भारत श्रद्धामयोऽयं पुरुषो यो यच्छ्रद्धः स एव सः श्रद्धावान् लभते ज्ञानं तत्परः संयतेन्द्रियः ज्ञानं लब्ध्वा परां शान्तिर्मचिरेणाधिगच्छति तेषां सततयुक्तानां भजतां प्रीतिपूर्वकं ददामि बुद्धियोगं तं येन मामुपयान्ति ते तेषामेवानुकम्पार्थमहमज्ञानजं तमः नाशयाम्यात्मभावस्थो ज्ञानदीपेन भास्वत ज्ञानेन तु तदज्ञानं येषां नाशितमात्मनः तेषामादित्यवज्ञानं प्रकाशयति तत्परम् इन्द्रियाणि पराण्याहुरिन्द्रियेभ्यं परं मनः मनसस्तु परा बुद्धेर्यो बुद्धे परतस्तु सः एवं बुद्धे परं बुद्ध्वा संसम्यात्मानमात्मना जहि शत्रुं महाबाहो कामरूपं दुरासदम् यतैकांसि समिद्धूमिर्भस्मसात् कुरुते अर्जुन ज्ञानाग्निः सर्वकर्माणि भस्मसात् कुरुते तथा यस्य सर्वे समारम्भा कामसङ्कल्पवर्जिताः ज्ञानान्विदग्धकर्माणं तमाहुः पण्डितं बुधाः कामक्रोधवियुक्तानां यतीनां यतचेतसाम् अभितो ब्रह्मनिर्वाणं वर्तते विदितात्मनां शनैः शनैरुपरमेद्बुद्ध्या धृतिगृहीतया आत्मसंस्थं मनः कृत्वा न किञ्चिदपि चिन्तयेत् यतो यतो निश्चरति मनश्चञ्चलमस्थिरम् ततस्ततो नियम्येत् आत्मन्येव वशं नयेत् यतेन्द्रियमनो बुद्धिर्मुनिर्मोक्षपरायणः विगते चाभयक्रोधो यः सदा मुक्त एव सः सर्वभूतस्थमात्मानं सर्वभूतानि चात्मनि ईक्षते योगयुक्तात्मा सर्वत्र समदर्शनः अनन्या चिन्तयन्तो मां ये जना पर्युपासते तेषां नित्याभियुक्तानां योगक्षेमं वहाम्यहम् तेषां ज्ञानि नित्ययुक्त एकभक्तिर्विशिष्यते प्रियो हि ज्ञानिनोत्यर्थम् अहं स च मम प्रियः बहूनां जन्मनामन्ते ज्ञानवान् मां प्रपद्यते वासुदेवः सर्वमिति स महात्मा सुदुर्लभः प्रजहाति यदा कामान् सर्वान् पार्थमनोगतान् आत्मन्येवात्मना तुष्टः स्थितप्रज्ञस्तदोच्यते विहाय कामान् यः सर्वान् पुमांश्चरति निःस्पृहः निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः स शान्तिमधिगच्छति यस्मानो द्विजते लोको लोकानोद्विजते च यः हर्षामर्षभयोद्वेगैर्मुक्तो यः स च मे प्रियः मानापमानायोस्तुल्यो मित्रविपक्षयोः सर्वारम्भपरित्यागी गुणातीतः स उच्यते यस्त्वात्मवतिरेव स्यादात्मतृप्तश्च मानवः आत्मन्येव च सन्तुष्टस्तस्य कार्यं न विद्यते नैव तस्य कृतेनातो न कृतेनेह कश्चन न चास्य सर्वभूतेषु कश्चिदर्थव्यपाश्रयः यदृच्छालाभसन्तुष्टो द्वन्द्वातीतो विमत्सरः समस्तित्वावसिद्धौ च कृत्वापि न निबध्यते ईश्वरः सर्वभूतानां हृद्देशेषु न तिष्ठति भ्रामयन् सर्वभूतानि यन्त्रारूढानि मायया तमेव शरणं गच्छ सर्वभावेन भारत तत्प्रसादात् परां शान्तिं स्थानं प्राप्स्यसि शाश्वतं सारोऽयमिह सारस्य गीतायासु विराजते संगृहीतो भगवता रमणेन महर्षिणा यश्लोकान् श्रद्धयाधीते द्विचत्वारिंशसङ्ख्यकान् सोऽधिगत्य तु गीतायास्तात्पर्यं सुखं पृच्छति।
ॐ नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. On this auspicious day of Vaikunta Ekadashi, let us soak in the Namam of Bhagavan Sri Ramana, the manifestation of the Parampurul in the human form who is residing in our heart lotus. I'm going to sing a song written by Sri Sadhu Om, music by Sri L. Vaidyanathan. Avare Guru Bhagavan, Avare Guru Bhagavan, Ramanamai Guruvaanavar, Ramanamai Guruvaanavar, Avare Guru Bhagavan, Avare Guru Bhagavan, Avare Guru Paran, Avare Kadavulan, Avare Parampurul Anmanile, Avare Guru Paran, Avare Kadavulan, Avare Parampurul Anmanile, Avare Guru Bhagavan, Avare Guru Bhagavan. எவரே உதான்ம இயற்கையை காட்டுவார் எவரும் தேகான்ம பாவத்தை போட்டுவார் எவரே உதான்ம இயற்கையை காட்டுவார் எவரும் தேகாத்ம பாவத்தை ஓட்டுவார் எவர் நீ கீழிறங்கான் நிலை நாட்டுவார் எவர் நீ கீழிறங்கான் நிலை நாட்டுவார் அவரே குரு பிறர் எவர் அருள் கூட்டுவார் அவரே குரு பகவான் அவரே குரு பகவான் கேட்பதை தான் தரும் சுரர் தரு கற்பகம் கேளாதளிப்பதோர் குரு கற்பகம் கேட்பதை தான் தரும் சுரர் தரு கற்பகம் கேளாதளிப்பதுவோர் குரு கற்பகம் ஆட்படுவோர் அகத்தாசை அழித்து ஆட்படுவோர் அகத்தாசை அழித்து அகம் அகம் எனும் அனுபவம் அருள்வதுதான் சுகம் அவரே குரு பகவான் அவரே குரு பகவான் ரமணமே அழகுருவானவர் ரமணமே அழகுருவானவர் அவரே குரு பகவான் அவரே குரு பகவான். நமோ ரமண. Namo Ramana. We will now have the reading and sharing from Sri Nandakumarji from the book Ramana's Muruganar.
Namo Ramana. In this, the book reading segment of our satsang, we continue to read from Ramana's Muruganar, a birth centenary offering compiled and edited by our founder president, Sri A.R. Natarajanji. We have come to that segment where Srimati Kanakamal's article, the first article in this compilation, takes us to the events between the happenings between Guru Ramana and his great devotee Muruganar Swamigal, Bhagavan and Muruganar. We have seen the reading through Kanakamal's account of Muruganar's works. Upadesa Undiyar was the last, where Muruganar sees Bhagavan as not only the Hindu deities, Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma, Ganapati, Subramanya, but also as Allah, Jesus, and all the deities whomsoever humanity has worshipped are only the self. That is Bhagavan. Here we see the accounts of the interactions between the great Guru and the great disciple, Bhagavan and Muruganar. Friendly banter. In the early years of Sri Ramanashramam, the inmates and visitors were comparatively few. Bhagavan himself would go to the kitchen and help the persons working there. To have an opportunity to spend time with Bhagavan, some visitors would also volunteer to join in the work. Once, Bhagavan was cutting greens. It's more like sorting greens. The greens are separated as leaves, the stem, and even the roots. It is said that Bhagavan would not leave, since everything is Brahman, every small particle is only manifestation of Brahman. Non-wastage was one of Bhagavan's root teachings. So the roots of these greens also would be washed and pounded, and their juice taken and mixed with the rasam. The stem used to be used in sambar and the leaves for the palya or the curry. Once Bhagavan was cutting greens, he was in a reminiscent mood. He told Muruganar, who was also cutting greens, in those days, while living on the hill, we would go far and near and gather greens. Kiraipati was an expert on their medicinal properties. While serving food to me, she would say one day that these greens are good for the eyes. Their vitamins or whatever are very good for the eyes. On another day, that this particular type of green is good for bowel movement, and so on. She used to prepare the dishes made with greens in a specially tasty way. It is said that there are particular types of greens which, when eaten, would assuage hunger for several days at a time, at a stretch, or even make a person invisible like some siddhas. Bhagavan was a master at narration. Who will not forget himself while hearing Bhagavan? Muruganar became wholly absorbed in what was being told. His work became slipshod. That means he was misarranging the three parts. His work became slipshod, and then he stopped while Bhagavan completed his portion of it. Bhagavan's portion of sorting and cutting were completed. Noticing this, Bhagavan humorously remarked, "Besh, besh, fine, fine. The way you have cut the vegetables is no better than the way you managed your house." Muruganar, had to leave his household and come to ashram, seeking better place for furthering his spiritual progress. So Bhagavan is making a snide remark almost about that. And Muruganar is tickled into reacting. After some time, Muruganar wrote a poem and left it on Bhagavan's sofa. On seeing it, Bhagavan burst into laughter. When someone wanted to share the joke, he handed over the poem to him and continued laughing. Not knowing the context, Muruganar's poems are difficult to decipher. The Tamil in which he writes is simply superb. Not knowing the context, the devotee returned it to Bhagavan and requested him to explain it. The poem read, "Why do you remain as a beggar with just a loincloth? Why don't you marry a person suited to your frugal temperament and lead a simple life?" So Muruganar is pulling the leg of his guru. What kind of relationship they have had, where Muruganar is saying, why are you continuing this life of sannyasa? Why shouldn't you get married to a girl who is also attuned with your frugal ways of living and lead a simple and very well organized and beautiful life? Ignorant creator. This happened in the early days of Sri Ramanashramam. In those days, the devotees enjoyed many privileges, like being able to eat on the leaf on which Bhagavan had taken his food, drinking the water from the bowl in which he had washed his hand, and sprinkling the water with which he washed his feet on one's head. This was a closely guarded secret from Bhagavan, lest he should protest and say no to the practice. The inmates used to take their food on Bhagavan's leaf plate by turns after he had finished. When Muruganar learnt about this practice, he too wanted to do so, but he was unaware of the ashram rules and regulations. One day, he hesitantly entered the dining hall after Bhagavan had finished his food for the purpose of having food in the same leaf plate, but did not know whom to ask. Just then he saw Shantamma, who had a soft corner for him. She also hailed from Ramanathapuram. However, because of her orthodox ways, she put him off by saying that Bhagavan's leaf plate would be available only at nights. Muruganar was totally disappointed and dejected that he could not get what had been enjoyed by other devotees. He expressed it in a poem, meaning, "This body, brought about by Prarabdha, longs to eat your uchishta," the leftover, the remains, "for you are my whole sole refuge." But even this is denied by the ordainer of fate, Brahma, who seems ignorant of the ways of creation. Muruganar is chiding Brahma for not arranging the uchishta for such a devotee, that Muruganar is actually blaming Brahma for giving him such a fate, that even this is not given in his prarabdha. But Muruganar is a great devotee who has taken the uchishta of "Who am I?", which "Who am I" is an uchishta of Bhagavan's breath. And that is what we have in practice as Atmavicharam. We are all privileged to consume that uchishta. Attached to Tamil, Muruganar was soaked in Tamil literature from his young age. Before coming to Ramana, his deep attachments were to his mother, to the country, and its leader Gandhiji, Tirukural and Tamil. His mother died in 1926. The attachment to Kural dropped off by itself. As for the involvement in the freedom movement, the inner life at Ramanashramam, at Sri Ramanashramam, took over. But his love for Tamil language remained strong. Hence, we find him praying to Ramana to free him of that attachment, and also describing how this happened. We should also remember that Uve Swaminatha Iyer, known as Tamil Tata, also complains to Bhagavan that this is one kurai, one attachment, that is attachment to Tamil, that is not going away. And Bhagavan, of course, tells to Tamil Tata that need not be, that itself can become part and parcel of his marga. It need not be dropped or eschewed for the work he has done. Muruganar is writing, "Endlessly I used to write, till all was lost in the overflowing inner bliss." Endlessly I used to write, till all was lost in the overflowing bliss. In Sannidhi Murai, lines 117 and 118, "Deeply was I immersed in the love of useless books, till all was lost in his great silence." Great Mauna, lines 201, 202 of Sannidhi Murai. "Deeply was I immersed in love of useless books, till all was lost in his great silence." We also find him praying let me offer one poetic garland after another and enjoy your endless beauty. Surely it would liberate me. We also find in praying, let me offer one poetic garland after another and enjoy your endless beauty. Surely would liberate me. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. We will now have a self-enquiry session by Sri Nandakumarji, Sri Dileep Simha.
Namo Ramana. Dhyayet Sharada Chandra Sundaramukam Tamraravindekshadam Bhaktabhishtavarabhayapradakaram Kaupinamatrojvalam Svatmanandarasanubhuti Sarvanavadyangakam Shrimantam Shri Ramanishwaram Guruvaram Yogasanadhyasitam Dhyayet Shri Ramanishwaram Dhyayet Shri Ramanishwaram Dhyayet Shri Ramanishwaram Hridaya Kuhara Madhye Kevalam Brahmamatram Yahamahamiti Sakshat Atmarupena Bhati Hrudi Vishamanasa Swam Chingvata Majjatava Pavana Chalanarodha Atmanishto Bhavatvam. We will commence the Atma Vicharam by listening to Bhagavan's Upadesham and meditating on it by His grace. I'll be reading his Upadesham today from the book Guruvachaka Kovai, from the chapter Experience of the Truth. And the topic is Absence of Sorrow. Verse 952. One's own reality, which shines within everyone as the heart, is the ocean of unalloyed bliss. Therefore, like the blueness of the sky that appears as a superimposition, misery exists merely in the imagination, not in reality. I repeat the verse. One's own reality, which shines within everyone as the heart, is the ocean of unalloyed bliss. Therefore, like the blueness of the sky that appears as superimposition, the misery exists merely in the imagination, not in reality. The I am, which is the heart, where there is absolutely nothing but I am, which is unalloyed bliss. When that I am is superimposed with I am so and so, I am not so and so, that superimposition of being something or not being something is all imaginary. because one continues to be, that's all. That is the absolute experience. So when one attends to that pure I am, which is continuous, which is ajyadhara, which is unalloyed, untouched, and lets go all this imaginary so and so, not so and so, which is all an imagination, a thought, which is like the, Bhagavan says here, which is like the blue seen in the sky. Even though it is really not there, the sky appears to be blue. And likewise, when the thought so and so or not so and so is attended, though they are only imaginary and not real, but they appear to be real. But when one sees that assuming to be so and so or not so and so, the dualities which are created by thoughts is all imaginary and the source of the sorrow. And when one really recognizes that one is experiencing oneself as pure I am continuously, like a vast space of pure I am, unalloyed bliss, says Bhagavan here. And then all these imaginary things are dropped and the truth alone shines forth. And that is the real removal of sorrow, says Bhagavan here. So whenever a thought rises, which is all innumerable imaginations that is possible, and drives us away or creates a superimposition, which is nothing but sorrow, whether it is a good thought, a bad thought, a spiritual thought, an ugly thought, all of them is a limitation in the unlimited. Therefore, one should diligently inquire to whom is this thought. And the answer would come, it is for me. And further, when one inquires who am I, what do I really refer to as I, then one sees that one actually experiences oneself as pure I am and an unbroken I am, as an unalloyed bliss, a vastness of pure consciousness and a pure presence. And in there, since there is no thought, no ripple, and as Nandakumarji said, not even a breath, pure presence alone, then one sees that one is experiencing only the bliss. One is actually the bliss itself. And all the sorrow was only an imagination. And Atma Vichara, which Bhagavan has given us, is to remove all this imaginary thing, the blueness, which is never present in the absolute truth, here and now. The abundant grace of Bhagavan, with which alone we have come to this most direct path. For the next 10 minutes, let us practice Atma Vichara. Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. We will now have the presentation of Anma Bodham by Sri Venkatesh Deshpande ji.
Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Dhyanamulam Guru Pujamulam Padam Mantramulam Vakyam Mokshamulam Guru Kripaha. Mokshamulam Guru Kripaha. We're doing Manana on Atma Bodha. In the last satsang, we did Manana on verse number 28. Let's do a little recap of that. Atman alone illumines the intellect, etc. Sense organs also as light illumines intellect, etc. Sense organs also as light illumines spots, etc. One's own Atma is not illumined by these inert objects. Atma is pure consciousness which enables the sense organ to perceive, the mind to feel, and the intellect to think. The sense organs, mind, and intellect have no capacity to function by themselves. They are insentient, but when they come in contact with Atman, they gain sentiency. Atman is the capacity in the equipments which make them function in their respective fields. But Atman cannot be perceived by the sense organs, nor felt by the mind, nor conceived by the intellect. Atman is like the electrical energy which causes electrical gadgets to operate. Without electricity, none of the gadgets can function, but their functioning do not affect electricity. Electricity produces heat in a heater, but is not heated by it. The illustration given in the verse is that of a lamp illumining the pot and other objects around it. These objects by themselves have no capacity to illumine themselves. They can be seen only when the lamps light them. Let's do Manana on today on verse number 29, and I request Revathi to kindly play the audio, please.
स्वबोधेनान्यबोधे च बोधरूपतयात्मनः न दीपस्यान्यदीपे च यथा स्वात्मप्रकाशने स्वबोधेनान्यबोधे च बोधरूपतयात्मनः न दीपस्यान्यदीपे च यथा स्वात्मप्रकाशने.
Thank you, Revathi, and thank you, Sapna. Just as a light does not need another light to illuminate itself, so the Atma needs no other knowledge to make itself known, as its nature is knowledge itself. Let's read this again. Just as a light does not need another light to illuminate itself, so the Atma needs no knowledge to make itself known, as its nature is knowledge itself. The light of a lamp illumines the objects round it. Without the light, none of the objects can be seen. When all the objects are removed, the lamp continues to shine. The light of the lamp is seen without the help of any other light. Vidyaranyam conveys the same idea by the striking illustration of the lamp in the dance hall. Nritya Sadasta Deepa and his Panchadashi. It describes a dance performance in a hall lit by a lamp above. In the dance hall, the light illumines the dancer, the musical accompaniments, manager of the show, the audience, etc. When all of them leave the hall after the performance is over, the light still remains there, illuminating itself. The manager is said to represent the ego, which orders the mind, the dancer, to act according to the demands, tune of the senses, which is the accompaniments. Sorry about that. It's such a tongue twister. Just as the dance performance takes place only in the light of the lamp, the activities of the senses, mind, and ego manifest in the presence of the Atman. When you transcend your material equipments by exhausting your vasanas, the Atma alone remains, illuminating itself. Read that again. When you transcend your material equipments, means you give up all your material equipments. By exhausting your vasanas, the Atma alone shines, illuminating itself. The illustration in the verse describes the nature of the consciousness within you. In the light of the consciousness alone, the sense organs perceive the world of objects. The mind feels the emotions and thoughts transcended. There are no longer any objects for the consciousness to ascend, illuminate. Therefore, the consciousness continues to illuminate itself. Like the light, pure consciousness is the source of illumination and therefore does not require any extraneous luminary for illuminating it. When you realize, you become one with that self-effulgent consciousness. In this ultimate experience, no other knowledge or instrument of knowledge is necessary for knowing the self. It happens in the same way as the waker awakening from a dream experiences his waking world without the help of any of the equipments of his dream body or the dream world. So, what Bhagavan is telling us beautifully here is that we go through day and night, we go through experiencing the body. Continuously we are experiencing the body. We are experiencing through our senses, we are experiencing the world. Now, how is this happening? It's happening because of the ego, because of the mind, and because of the senses. All these three are contributing to this continuous bombardment that is happening. Bhagavan says, The whole journey is to inquire. What do you inquire about? You're not inquiring about the self. So some people think, oh, I'm going to inquire. Self-inquiry means I'm going to inquire about the self. No, you don't inquire about something that you already are. So it's like if you are a human being, you're not going to inquire, am I a human being? Am I a human being? In the morning, am I a human being? Evening, am I a human being? No, you're not inquiring because you know that you are the human being. Exactly the same thing with the self. You don't inquire into the self. Though it's called self-inquiry, you're not inquiring into the truth. You are inquiring into the falsity, the false. You're inquiring into the mind and saying, hey, mind, are you actually true or not? Are you true or false? Remember our school days used to have true and false. It's exactly the same thing. This mind, hey, are you true or false? And you have the whole journey is to drop the falsity. When you drop the falsity, what remains? Only the truth will remain. And that's what you are. It's the same thing about being a human being. It's the same thing that you are divine. Tattvamasi, you are that. But you are not for you don't think you are divine. And you just keep on loitering around, trying to find out how do I find out that I'm divine. And Bhagavan says this inquiry is only to get rid of the falsity. And the more and more you inquire into the falsity, you realize, oh my God, I've always been the self and I've forgotten this self and forgotten my true nature. And this whole journey has been really to go back to who I really am. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. We will now have the sharing of Ramanacentre by Sri Ujwal Jagadeesh.
We have been meditating on the verses of Ramanacentre written by Ganapati Muni and which has been compiled Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. We have been meditating on the verses of Ramanacentre written by Ganapati Muni and which has been compiled in this beautiful format and given to us as Ramanacentre by Bhagavan Ramana himself. We have been meditating on the verses of Ramanacentre written by Ganapati Muni, and which has been compiled in this beautiful format and given to us as Ramanacentre by Bhagavan Ramana himself. In this verse that we are meditating, Ganapati Muni speaks about the Karuna of Bhagavan Ramana, which flows not only through his sweet words but also through his glance, which are so filled with compassion, which removes all the darkness of ignorance. Ramanam Gurum Namami, Ramanam Gurum Namami, Timirani Kevalam Vachobhi Karuna Panga Vilokitai Chandrinam Hridaye Pasaranti Martayantam Bhagavantam Ramanam Gurum Namami Ramana Guruvige Namana Ramana Guruvige Namana Kattaleya ಕೇವಲ ವಚನದಿಂದಲ್ಲದೆ ಕರುಣಾ ಕಟಾಕ್ಷದಿಂದ ಹರಿಸಿ
Yes.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. We have some technical issue regarding Ujwal's talk. So we will hear Ujwal next week or whenever the next satsang is. We will move on to the sharing of Ashtottaram by Dr. Shata, which is written by Ramana Satsang.
Namo Ramana. Prostrations to Ramana, shining as the self in all beings. By the immense grace of the self manifest as Ramana, we in this part of the satsang, we are meditating on the Ramana Ashtottara Shatanamavali, composed by Vishwanatha Swami. It's a litany of 108 names in praise of Bhagavan and also revealing to us the biography of Bhagavan, the highlights or the essence of the biography of Bhagavan. And we are on the Nama Trigunatigaha. After Vishwanatha Swami has spoken about Bhagavan's birth at Tiruchuri, his enlightenment at Madurai, the epic journey to Tiruvannamalai, his early years completely lost to the world, as it were, totally absorbed in the bliss of the self, unaware of the body most of the time, and how he had stayed in various places we covered as a part of the namas, like Churnita Akhila Vibhramaya Namaha. So Vishwanatha Swami has not covered each and every place in which Bhagavan stayed, it may be in the temple, but then there is a Nama Tapomayaha. So in that we looked at Bhagavan's life in those early years at Tiruvannamalai, and in the Nama Churnita Akhila Vibhramaya Namaha, we looked at the first meeting of Mother Aragamma with Bhagavan after his coming away to Tiruvannamalai, which happened at Pavarakundru. And then we looked at Veda Vedanta Tattvajnaya Namaha, Chinmudrine Namaha. And now we are meditating on the Nama Trigunatigaha, one who is beyond the three qualities. And we looked at the other poems also by different poets like Satyamangalam Venkatramaya, where he says that Moonru Degam Marand Muppada Valvinir Kudiyerinan. And also he says Muggunat Tadayatravan Mudalaya Deva Niramayan Pakkuvattavar Vandu Nindra Panindidum Pada Sevayan. So he is the one who is beyond the three qualities, which are Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. And we looked at the concept of transcending all the three qualities. Why transcend all the three qualities? Why transcend Sattva also? That is because Sattva is also a quality. It is within the Triputi. Bhagavan says in Ulladu Narpadu, Muppudaigal. Then what are those trinities he says? Dvandvani sarvan akilas triputyaha kinchit samashritya vibhanti vastu. All the trinities, there are various trinities. When we say Muggunam, that only refers to one aspect. Sri K.V. Subramaniam, looking at this Mugguna Tadayatravan, he was inspired to write a song on Bhagavan, which says Trishula Pura Ramanam. Bhagavan is born in Tiruchuri. Tiruchuri in Tamil. In Sanskrit, it is Trishula Pura. So the Trishula, the Shula of Shiva, has 3 points in it. It's a three-headed spear, as it were. It's a trident. It has 3 in it. And the same way, on Shiva's forehead, we find what is called the Tripundra. The sacred ash is applied in 3 lines. And most of the Shaivite devotees, the traditional ones, they apply it in the same manner on their foreheads and also on different parts of the body, the chest, the arms, etc. So it is 3 lines. These 3 lines can, of course, they are denoting the 3 gunas. And Shiva has 3 eyes. So all these are 3. The manifestation is in duality and trinity. Muppudaigal, all the Muppudaigal Moondru Andri. That is not there in the self. They are Ondru Patri. They are all based, they are all arising from one Adhara. So they arise from one self. Or we can say they arise from the ego, which arises from the self. So what are all these when we are talking of the transcendence of the Trinity of Bhagavan, of the three gunas? K.V. Subramaniam also takes us to the other concepts of the three dehas, the three shariras, which are the Sthula, the Sukshma and the Karana Sharira. Moondru deham marandu muppada valvinir kuriyedinan. So when he is beyond the three qualities, one may say that there are certain qualities which are associated with each one of the states of our daily existence. The waking, the dream and the sleep, the deep sleep. One may say it is not really, there is not that much of a demarcation, because all the states will have all a mixture of all the three qualities of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. However, one may say that the waking state has more of Rajas. One is very active in the waking state. And in the deep sleep, since it is zero, there is nothing at all. If it is equated to a void, it may be called tamas, or it may be called the sattva state, because there is no disturbance of thoughts, and the dream may be called the tamas state, where there is no real activity, or it may be called the sattva state. So in this way also, the three states, that is, one is the physical, the other is the mental, and the third is the causal. The three states are the three states of waking, dream and deep sleep are also associated with the three bodies that we have, the Sthula, the Sukshma and the Karana. These are the three bodies. When one says that one is associated, if one is associated with any one of these bodies, then one is within the framework of the play of the gunas or the qualities. But one who is beyond all that, Triputi Atitam, says K.V. Subramaniam in his song, Triputi Atitam, Trigunat Atigaha, Triguna Atigaha, Trigunatigaha. That means that wherever there is we see a trinity, where we see any set of threes. It could be, as we saw, the three qualities. It can also be the three bodies. It can be the three states of waking, dream and deep sleep. It could be the three time zones, the past, the future and the present. The present is pure sattva. If one is completely in the now, the mind is not disturbed, anxious, it is not moving forward, trying to think I can achieve this, I can achieve that, or it is not simply wallowing in the past of tamas. So the past is tamas, it's dead and gone. What is the use of going on wallowing in the past? So that is tamas. And rajas is the future, when I think I will be active, I will do all this, I will achieve this. The push of the achievement, the movement towards success, all that is related to the future. And this is what this force of rajas brings forth thoughts in us. A combination of tamas and rajas and sattva brings forth the thoughts in us. More a combination of rajas and tamas. And the pure sattva bhava, the quietude, that takes us inward. That says, don't go externally, be in the now. That is the sattva bhava, the way the sattva bhava works. So it is that there are the three time zones as well. And in our every experience, there is a Triputi. There are three aspects. That is, if I am seeing, then there is the seer, the seen, and the process of seeing. Subject, object, and predicate. The action which connects all the three of them. Now, so long as the three are there, or any one of the three are there, the others are implied. That's why Vishwanath Swami says, Triguda Atigaha. Bhagavan is called beyond the three gunas. Gunatita. Gunatita. Even in the recitation of the Gita Sara verses, we heard one of the adjectives, Gunatita, one who is beyond all attributes. And there is no attribute to Bhagavan. He is absolutely the pure existence. There is no attribute. Even consciousness is not an attribute to the self, says Bhagavan. In the Upadesa Saram, he tells us, Sattaya hi chit, chittaya hyaham. So Sat and Chit are one. They are conjoined. They are only the same, one and the same in the self. It is not as if it is a quality. Sat, Chit and Ananda are not qualities or gunas of the self, even though we describe them again in three words or three aspects. They are not qualities. A quality is something which is added on. A quality is something which is acquired, and therefore it can be lost. Something which is good can be lost. Something which is acquired can be lost. What is acquired? And something which is temporal is a quality. And the self is non-temporal. It is beyond time. So it also has to be beyond qualities. Qualities are also relative to one another. How does one say something is sattva, something is rajas, something is tamas? We say something is tamas. I mean, if something is inactive, inert, simply sitting, if a person is simply sitting, then that is called tamas. He is called a lazy person. He is not at all active. The moment he becomes active, in relation to that person or that thing which was inert, that is seen as active. It's only because of the relative existence. But the self is not something which is relative. It is absolute. It has no relationship or no dependence on anything else. The self is not because of something else. The self is not seen because of something else. The light of the self is not like the light of the day. For us, the light of the day is relative to the darkness of the night. And there is a third, which is the twilight zone. So there is a twilight, there is a day, there is a night, and between the two, there is always a twilight, whether it is the evening or it's the morning. That is called Ushas. That is that which comes before the dawn. And Sandhya, that which comes before the night. So that is the twilight zone. So there are three. If there are two, then there are three, and then it becomes multiple, because it will come in permutation combinations. Nandakumarji says that there are descriptions of 256 worlds based on what? 3 plus even the fourth state, Turiya. So here, therefore sometimes people say Turiyatita, even beyond the Turiya. So here Vishwanath Swami is saying Triguna Atigaha. So what do we have to understand from this is that Bhagavan, whatever he is described as, is the ideal in our sadhana. So if we have to aspire to reach that truth, which is not even pure sattva, which is not even sattva. Sattva, then Shuddha sattva, and then beyond that Now if you look at tamas, rajas and sattva. But normally in a practice, in a relative realm, if you look at a practice, it is said that through rajas, one must uplift oneself from tamas. If a person is in tamas, it is better that the person is active. The person becomes active. If a person is in a negative mode, tamas is also a negative mode, feeling depressed, feeling anxious, it is better to get into a rajas mode where one is confident, where one is ready to work, where one has a positive frame of mind instead of a negative frame of mind. Better than that is sattva, which is a state of equanimity, where one is neither thinking of moving forward nor depressed, but one is at peace with oneself. That is a state of equanimity, that is sattva. Then what is the Shuddha Sattva? That is the pure mind, the Aham Spurana, in which all these qualities are included and by which all these are transcended. And that Aham Spurana works in the world. The Aham Spurana is the manifestation, that is the Shuddha Sattva. It is also called the Shuddha Sattva. Ganapati Muni, while describing Bhagavan, praising Bhagavan in the 11th chapter of Ramana Gita, he says it is Shuddha Sattva. The one whose mind is that Shuddha Sattva, or pure, the purest of Sattva, which is even transcending the Sattva, which is a Guna. The Sattva Guna is also in the realm of identity. My mind is now calm. I am able to be functioning without the disturbance of thoughts. My attachments are waning. I am fairly detached. I am not disturbed by the movement of events. Sattva Bhava. But still, it is for me. It is for this identity. Even that is a guna. It has to be transcended. So long as one is in the realm of identity, one is still within the bonds of the ego. One is still within the prison of the ego. Instead of being a dirty cage like the Tamabhava, instead of being a very luxurious and well-kept cage, it may be a simple cage which has got nice fresh air coming and going, but it is still a cage. It is still an identity. It has to be crossed. The Sattva Bhava also, the Sattva Guna has to be crossed. That is why Bhagavan is described as Triguna Atigaha. He is beyond all the gunas. So one cannot really confine him in any way or say this is the way Bhagavan must act or will not act. One cannot say, because he is just the pure, he is just the all-pervading self. He is not even its, in that sense, he is not even its manifestation. He is that in which, as Bhagavan says, one may say it is that in which the entire manifestation is a mere ripple, or in which, as Bhagavan says, nothing is ever born, nothing ever arises, and nothing ever subsides, which alone is, which is beyond everything. So we, in our endeavor, very often, we try to reach some kind of a state of being a good person. This is natural and it's good. It's good also because goodness is beautiful. We must understand dharma, virtue, righteousness, being charitable, being loving, being compassionate. These are very beautiful. But if one's goal is to cross the identity altogether, then one must cross this as well. Once Vishwanatha Swami told my father, Sri Natarajan sir, even compassion is part of the ego. It is a bondage. You will have to get across that as well. He told him that. And sometimes one can watch one's own thoughts. One can see, one becomes aware, okay, I want to be good. I want to be seen as being good. I want, not perhaps by another person, even by myself, I would like to be a good person. Therefore, this thought, this attachment to goodness also has to be surpassed, and therefore Vishwanath Swami is putting before us the quality, the beautiful attribute of Bhagavan, which says Triguna Atigaha. He is beyond the three gunas, he is beyond all the triads, he is beyond all duality, and he is the self and the self alone. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri
Namo Ramana. We will now have the chanting of Aksharamanamalai by Srimati Radha and Vallabh.
Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. வீடு விட்டி துள வீடு புக்கு பயவுன் வீடு கடினை அருள் அருணாச்சலா. வெளி விட்டேன் உன் செயல் வெறுத்திடாதுன் அருள் வெளிவே என்னை காருணாச்சலா. வேதாந்தத்தே வேரற விளங்கும் வேத பொருள் அருள் அருணாச்சலா. வைதலை வாழ்த்தா வைத்தருள் கூடிய வைத்தென்னை விடாதருள் அருணாச்சலா. அம்பு வில்லாளி போல் அன்புரு உன்னிலனை அன்பா கரை தருள் அருணாச்சலா. அருணை என்றென்னை அருள் கண்ணி பட்டேன் முன்னருள் வல்லை தப்புமோ அருணாச்சலா. சிந்தி தருள் பட சிலந்தி போல் கட்டி சிறையீட்டுண்டனை அருணாச்சலா. அன்போடு நாமம் கேள் அன்பர் தம் அன்பரு கண்பனாயிட அருள் அருணாச்சலா. என் போலும் தீனரை இன்புற காத்து நீ என்னாலும் வாழ்வர் அருணாச்சலா. என் குரு கண்பத்தம் இன்சொற்கொள் செவியும் என் பொன்மொழி கொட அருள் அருணாச்சலா. ஒருமயாம் பூதர புன் சொல்லை நன் சொல்ல பொறுத்தருள் இஷ்டம் பின் அருணாச்சலா. மாலை அணித்தருணாச்சல ரமண என் மாலை அணிந்தருள் அருணாச்சலா. மாலை அணித்தருணாச்சல ரமண என் மாலை அணிந்தருள் அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சலம் வாழி அன்பர்களும் வாழி. அக்ஷரமணமாலை வாழி. நமோ ரமணா.
Namo Ramana. We will conclude today's satsang with the Ashtottara puja to Bhagavan. The Ashtottaram will happen at Sri Dileep Simha's altar. The Ashtottaram will be chanted by Revathi Shankar and Uma and Ashwini. We will conclude today's satsang with the Arati song. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana. भारद्वाज विश्वनाथ विरचितं श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तर शतनामावली अपार सच्चित् सुखवारिराशेः यस्योर्मिमात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि। ॐ महासेनमहों शेनजाताय नमः। ॐ श्रीरमणाय नमः। ॐ गुरवे नमः। ॐ अखण्डसंविदाकाराय नमः। ॐ महौजसे नमः। ॐ कारणोद्भवाय नमः। ॐ जगद्धितावताराय नमः। ॐ श्रीभूमिनाथस्थलोतिताय नमः। ॐ पराशरकुलोत्तंसाय नमः। ॐ सुन्दरार्यतपःफलाय नमः। ॐ कमनीयसुचारित्राय नमः। ॐ सहायाम्बा सहायवते नमः। ॐ शोणाचलमहोलीनमानसाय नमः। ॐ स्वर्णहस्तकाय नमः। ॐ श्रीमद्द्वादशान्तमहास्थले लब्धविद्योदयाय नमः। ॐ महाशक्तिनिपातेन प्रबुद्धाय नमः। ॐ परमार्थविदे नमः। ॐ तीव्राय नमः। ॐ पितृपदान्वेषिणे नमः। ॐ इन्दुमौळिना पितृमते नमः। ॐ पितुरादेशतः शोणशैलं प्राप्ताय नमः। ॐ तपोमयाय नमः। ॐ उदासीनाय नमः। ॐ महायोगिने नमः। ॐ महोत्साहाय नमः। ॐ कुशाग्रधिये नमः। ॐ शान्तसङ्कल्पसंरम्भाय नमः। ॐ सुसन्दृशे नमः। ॐ सवित्रे नमः। ॐ स्थिराय नमः। ॐ तपक्षपितसर्वाङ्गाय नमः। ॐ फुल्लाम्बुजविलोचनाय नमः। ॐ चन्द्रिकासितहासश्रीमण्डिताननमण्डलाय नमः। ॐ चूतवाट्यां समासीनाय नमः। ॐ चूर्णिताखिलविभ्रमाय नमः। ॐ वेदवेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञाय नमः। ॐ चिन्मुद्रिणे नमः। ॐ त्रिगुणातिगाय नमः। ॐ विरूपाक्षकुहावासाय नमः। ॐ विराजदचलाकृतये नमः। ॐ उद्दीप्तनयनाय नमः। ॐ पूर्णाय नमः। ॐ रचिताचलताण्डवाय नमः। ॐ गम्भीराय नमः। ॐ परमाचार्याय नमः। ॐ सुप्रसन्नाय नमः। ॐ अभयप्रदाय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणास्य निभाय नमः। ॐ धीराय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणाभिमुखाय नमः। ॐ स्वराजे नमः। ॐ महर्षये नमः। ॐ भगवते नमः। ॐ ईड्याय नमः।
ॐ भूमविद्याविशारदाय नमः। ॐ विमलाय नमः। ॐ दीर्घदर्शिने नमः। ॐ आप्ताय नमः। ॐ ऋजुमार्गप्रदर्शकाय नमः। ॐ समदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्यदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्याय नमः। ॐ प्रशान्ताय नमः। ॐ अमितविक्रमाय नमः। ॐ सुकुमाराय नमः। ॐ सदानन्दाय नमः। ॐ मृदुभाषिणे नमः। ॐ दयार्णवाय नमः। ॐ श्रीशोणाचलहृद्भूतस्कन्दाश्रमनिकेतनाय नमः। ॐ सद्दर्शनोपदेष्ट्रे नमः। ॐ सद्भक्तवृन्दपरिवृताय नमः। ॐ गणेशमुनिभृङ्गेन सेविताङ्घ्रिसरोरुहाय नमः। ॐ गीतोपदेशसारादिग्रन्थसञ्चिन्नसंशयाय नमः। ॐ वर्णाश्रममतातीताय नमः। ॐ रसज्ञाय नमः। ॐ सौम्याय नमः। ॐ आत्मवते नमः। ॐ सर्वावनिमतस्थानाम् आराध्याय नमः। ॐ सर्वसद्गुणिने नमः। ॐ आत्मारामाय नमः। ॐ महाभागाय नमः। ॐ मातृमुक्तिविधायकाय नमः। ॐ विनताय नमः ॐ विनुताय नमः ॐ विप्राय नमः ॐ मुनीन्द्राय नमः ॐ पावकोज्ज्वलाय नमः ॐ दर्शनादगसंहारिणे नमः ॐ मौनेन स्वात्मबोधकाय नमः ॐ हृच्छान्तिकरसान्निध्याय नमः ॐ स्मरणात्बन्धमोचकाय नमः ॐ अन्तस्तिमिरचण्डांशवे नमः ॐ संसाराणवतारकाय नमः ॐ शोणाद्रीशस्तुतिद्रष्टे नमः ॐ हार्दविद्याप्रकाशकाय नमः ॐ अविच्युतनिजप्रज्ञाय नमः ॐ नैसर्गिकमहातपसे नमः ॐ कमण्डलुधराय नमः ॐ शुभ्रकौपीनवसनाय नमः ॐ गुहाय नमः ॐ दण्डपाणये नमः ॐ कृपापूर्णाय नमः ॐ भवरोगविषग्वराय नमः ॐ स्कन्दाय नमः ॐ देवतमाय नमः ॐ अमर्त्याय नमः ॐ सेनान्ये नमः ॐ पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः।
ॐ श्री रमण भगवते नमः। श्री अष्टोत्तर शतनाम पूजां समर्पयामि। यस्थाणोररुणाचलस्य पदयोः स्मृत्या जनिं प्राप्यत दिव्यानुग्रह सुप्रवाह विवशस्ताधात्म्य भावं गतः निष्ठस्वगभीर नित्य तपसा लोकान् पुनास्येकराट् तस्मै श्री रमणाय ते नम इदं लोकोत्तर ज्योतिषे। नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावर्ण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि दर्शन सुख मंगल मुख सकल जीवहित सम्मुख ब्रह्म संगिये सदा तुष्ट सदा हृष्ट सदा शिवानंद पुष्ट परम महर्षि ब्रह्मनिष्ठ समदर्शि नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावर्ण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि ನಮ್ಮ ಮನವದೊಂದು ಕಾಡು ನೀನರಿತಿಯೇ ಅದರ ಜಾಡು ಹಿತವನರಿತು ನೀಡುತ್ತೆಮ್ಮ ಕೊರೆಯ ತಣಿಸಲೈ ಬೇಡಲೆಂದು ಬಂದ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿಯೇ ತಣಿವೆ ಮೈಯ ಮೂಡಿಗಾರನೇ ಹಿತವ ನುಡಿದು ಪೊರೆ ನಮ್ಮನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಸಂಗಿಯೇ ನಮೋ 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 ರಮಣ ಸದಾಶಿವ ಪ್ರಭಾವರ್ಣ ನಮೋ महर्षि नमो महर्षि। बोलो श्री भगवान रमण महर्षि की जय।